or is he going to try something different coming out of the gate in the second?
As we mentioned, Mark, we know McComb has good hands. You know, he can score points on the feet. Let's see if he realises that that tact might work for him in round 2.
Young actually looks more confident coming out in the second round. He's probably aware that he can hang with Steve McComb now.
Yeah, that'll give him confidence. I mean, he told me pre-fight that, you know, the amount of experience McComb has didn't faze him at all. You know, once he's in there, they're just in there together, and the number of fights are irrelevant, and it's certainly shown so far.
Yeah, he seems quite confident now. Happy enough at range there.
Really turning his hips over on those low kicks.
Yeah, some nice leg kicks there. McComb, as always, of course, completely unflappable. When you have as many fights as he has, it takes a lot to shock you out of your routine.
Yeah, there's not a lot Steve McComb hasn't seen.
Attempted on a high kick there by Andy Young. Caught fresh air in front of Steve McComb as he backed away and gave it some space.
Again, pre-fight, Andy Young did say his plan was to take McComb out of the first round. He says he's prone to gassing. But on the flip side of that, McComb says he's done the most strength and conditioning he's ever done for this fight, and he's more than happy to go the full 15. So we'll see how that actually plays out.
Stalking each other now. And you get the feeling that a mistake could be disastrous for either fighter.
Yeah, and Young's going in heavy with those low kicks. It's McComb looking to favour the hands, and Young really going in with the kicks.
A slight reach advantage for Young.
I mean, he went up high with that one, it was blocked, but it shows his intentions.
McComb seems to be a small bit tentative in this round, Jay.
Yeah, he landed a good counter there, but a nice front kick to the jaw from Young. And here we go, overhand right, counter.
And this is both the Steve McComb and the Andy Young that we know and love now. They're both starting to let go with heavy leather.
Yeah, and McComb's going in 2s and 3s, body head. And you've got Young countering with the shots, looking for those kicks.
McComb is definitely stalking Young now. Young has spotted it, of course, trying to throw some fakes to pull McComb out of the routine.
And, you know, despite the disparity in the amount of fights both these guys have got, you wouldn't be able to tell just watching them in the cage. If you didn't see the numbers, you'd never know. Absolutely
right. Young carries himself as like a fighter much more seasoned than he is. But he did learn some hard lessons in his career, and they've stood to him now. And he looks more than ready to convert those early losses into a long streak of wins. If he can get past Steve McComb, that is. Spinning back elbow lands. Young smiles. So I'm guessing it didn't faze him all that much.
And there Young steps in, but McComb counters with 3 and 4 punches. None of them landed cleanly, but if one of those gets through, McComb is sitting on them shots.
He's starting to land more often now as he starts to find the range on Young.
It's worth noting, we did say that McComb comes from a boxing background, but most of his wins come via submission. But these guys happy to kickbox on the feet here in round 2. Young working that Silva Machida-esque front kick, and that was a nice combination, finished with a low kick there.
Young trying to make use of his extended range over McComb, holding him at a distance, and he seems to be finding a home for that left leg now.
Yeah, and you can see the damage on McComb's left leg from that low kick. Both guys showed just how savvy they were on the ground in round 1, and they're both showing themselves to be very competent on the feet in round 2 as well. McComb stepping on that jab. He's just giving too much signal to Young so he can step out, just transmitting it a little bit early.
Now this is definitely striking tic-tac-toe here on the feet. The first person to make a mistake at this range is going to suffer for it. And he goes high with the head kick this time, bringing that right leg over.
Yeah, it's a matter of millimetres. If one of those shots just misses the glove and catches the dome, it could be all over. Nice spinning back kick there. And a jumping kick for Andy Young. He's growing in confidence. And we finish round 2, fought exclusively on the feet.
There wasn't even an attempt at a takedown there. It's almost like that would have been cheating.
Bit of a gentleman's agreement there for the second 5 minutes.
You see Rodney Moore in the corner of Taz Young, familiar to fans of the UFC, his corner in Norman Parks oftentimes. Yep. What advice do you think he's given to Andy Young? I
mean, for me, he landed the higher percentage of the shots in the second round. I think both guys had a decent work rate, but going on the percentage of his shots that actually landed, I'd probably give the edge to Young. I mean, McComb did try and throw him 3s and 4s when he countered, but oftentimes it was Young initiating the striking exchanges. Very close round though. Absolutely, and I wouldn't like to be a judge for this if the third round is as close. Both fighters are ready. Andy Young is in the sprinter stance. Looks like he's ready to come out fast for this round. This round now, round 3, for the ISKA Bantamweight Irish title. Jay Furness, Mark Leonard calling the action here at Clanmore 16 in the Ulster Hall. And McComb starting with a little bit of initiative here in round 3. Throwing some low kicks of his own, but Young counters.
McComb trying to make use of his own kicks in this round.
Yeah, he's not kicked that much in the fight so far, but he's had a bit of a change of tact in round 3. Good front kick there from McComb. It just took that right hand away from his chin.
McComb is finding the target a bit more often here in this opening minute. And just to prove me right, he lands a lovely right.
Just comes over the top. And this really is tit for tat, Mark. Oh, and Young with a big double leg.
McComb tries to get to the cage.
And that can be, sometimes you get too comfortable in your stand-up routine. And McComb wasn't expecting that shot at all, and therefore didn't have a defence for it.
No, you do forget, especially after a full 6 minutes of striking only, that this is not a kickboxing match. And Andy Young reasserts that vigorously with some elbows from the guard on the ground here in front of the cage.
Yeah, turning those elbows over nicely. McComb just trying to control with a whizzer, controlling the head. But Young just finding a few inches, just enough to turn the elbow over and connect it with his head.
A very vocal crowd here at the Ulster Hall behind both fighters in equal numbers, it seems.
Yeah, and we've got the Andy Young contingent not a metre behind us. So.
Right behind us.
He looks for that arm lock again, does McComb.
And as you pointed out in the first round, he seems to be eating a lot of lefts from it.
Yeah, he ate some shots again, and I think Young has drawn blood. And he's got a good head position. And a nice right hand comes over the top. Just seeing off the submission threat, and when the shots are there, he's taking them. He's not rushing anything. As we say, it's maturity beyond the amount of fights that he actually has.
And this is starting to resemble the first round quite a bit. And I'm sure that's resonating in McComb's mind, given that he very likely lost that round.
And now it's Young trying to attack the back. Just keeping control. He was going to throw that knee then, but McComb wisely turned into the guard. Needs to be careful of the up kick.
Trying to find a way through McComb's feet. McComb being very aggressive with those up kicks, keeping Young back.
Yeah, and if Young can cruise from the top position, you have to think he might cause the upset.
Two nice strikes there by Young, and another two land. And this round's starting to not look very good for the reigning champion.
Yeah, I mean, they say to be the champ, you have to beat the champ, and Andy Young's doing a good job of that in round 3. I mean, there hasn't been any instances where we've been particularly close to a finish, but certainly some dominance in the third round.
McComb still aggressive with those up kicks, but Young able to find a way through again now, landing 3 unanswered shots as McComb scrambles for a triangle that ultimately wasn't there.
Yeah, Young trying to pass with the punches. He landed the punches, but he hasn't managed to get past the guard of McComb. Very wily veteran on the floor, and he's again looking to control the wrist, but as he went to throw up a triangle, Andy Young passes his guard. A nice cradle there, just keeping McComb in tight.
He's McComb packaged up quite tight here against the cage.
Knee comes in there from Young as he controls McComb.
McComb obviously resisting kicking his leg out so that Young can't find a hook.
30 seconds left in the round. And this one has been a lot more straightforward to score for the judges, you'd have to think, Mark.
Yeah, it certainly will, and I'm sure they'd appreciate that after the first 2 rounds.
The 10-second clapper goes, and both guys look to strike. McComb from the bottom and Young with punches from the top. And that's the end of the fight.
That's it, that's the 3 rounds in the books. And the judges will now decide who is the ISK Irish champion.
Excellent back and forth fight there, Mark. Both guys showed great skill, both in the stand-up and on the ground. But for me, it's Andy Young that really put an exclamation mark on it with a dominant third round.